Happy Wednesday. It is Alex and Danielle here for Rise and Grind podcast, back with episode 23. Feels like we're doing more of like an every other week now, and I feel like that's good for us. I think that's I feel like that's fitting our lives a little bit better right now.
Yeah.
It's like every week it's something. But today we're going to be covering a couple sort of outlooks on the weekend, big matchups coming up in some of these conference series. You've been traveling a ton. I traveled unexpectedly. So we're going to touch on a couple things today, but let's start with your travels. You were down in Texas. How was it?
It was. My birthday was on Friday and I turned 28.
Happy belated birthday.
Yeah, but just kidding. It was actually 38. But it was kind of weird traveling on my birthday. So I flew into Austin. I stayed in Austin and then drove to College Station, which was 2 hours to cover the Texas A&M LSU series, and then drove back Saturday night to fly out Sunday morning. That was an intense series. A couple things. I'd been to Davis Diamond before in 2019 when they were kind of doing the first reveal, and it's stunning. Obviously, there's been some upgrades of other stadiums. Oklahoma's Loves Field. I haven't seen that yet, but when you see Davis Diamond in person, it truly is like a AAA ballpark, like that. Just watching my husband play baseball over the years and seeing how nice those venues are, it's like that, but with this like bougie softball touch of like interior and the locker rooms and the cages and cold tubs, hot tubs. Like, it's pretty incredible. They almost have this, like when I've gone to Mariners games and they have the Diamond Club where you can sit right behind home plate, go in, you can go to the bar, you can go grab food. Like, that's what it's like under Davis Diamond. So it's really incredible. But besides that, College Station doesn't have very much.
No, it is purely a college town. Like, that is the purpose of the town on the map, is the school.
Yes. And this series, we had game 2, and unfortunately we didn't even get to make it on. We were supposed to be on SEC Network. We didn't even get to make it on there because Texas had a 15-inning baseball game. So we were on the app the whole time, which stinks. Obviously, people that are true Texas A&M LSU fans are tuning into the app.
Right.
But this series was spicy.
Yeah.
Like, there was some shit talking on both ends. Like, LSU had swept Texas A&M in Baton Rouge the year prior. So there was so much talk about like Trish Ford constantly telling Texas A&M, like, F these guys. Like, they swept us at home. Like, both Beth Tarina and Trish Ford are pitching gurus. But I just think they are very much like dogs.
Yeah.
I can't say that I mean, Trish Ford is potentially one of the most competitive women that I've been around. Like, Coach Tar is to a degree. And, you know, I think about some of the other ones like Lonnie Alameda at the state. Like, they're competitive, they want to win, but I'm also like, dude, I mean, Coach Ford put something out a couple days ago. It was a press conference. I think Amanda Scarborough sent it to me on Twitter.
Yeah.
And it was her talking about like when you come in as freshmen and sophomores and what season is like. And she says the shit that like is not fun is when you come in and you're all smiles and you think, oh, everything's just going to be so fun. The shit that is fun is when you are in the weight room, busting your ass, running as a team, training your ass off. Like, that's the stuff that's fun, because that's the stuff that ultimately puts you in a position to right now be in the number 1 spot. Like, Texas A&M is number 1 in the polls. And so it's cool to see that fiery competitiveness come out and be vocal, and people love it. So it was fun. It was a fun series to call. I like it when shit gets heated. I like it when there's a little smack talking, right? It's acceptable in baseball. I think that it's okay in softball because it goes to show how much these women care. They pour their life into this sport. You get 4 years to figure out your identity in this program, if you choose to stay. So I don't know. That series to me was a lot of fun to watch. I think Tori Edwards is by far one of the most incredible freshmen that I've seen. I know we talked about Taylor Shoemaker with Florida. I have to put Tori Edwards right now with the numbers and run that she's on as the best freshman in the country right now. She's incredible. And then I think with Maya Perez and Mac Morgan or Mac Barbara, excuse me. The Bash sisters are just, they're tough. Something that stood out to me over the course of like going back, like listen to some of these numbers. Auburn, Georgia series, 48 runs scored. Texas A&M, LSU, 40 runs scored, 24 total base on balls. That's just not okay.
That's a lot, yeah.
Florida, Ole Miss, 46 runs in 3 games. Arkansas, South Carolina, 30 runs. And then the last one that I rounded up, I didn't do Mississippi State, but Tennessee, Texas, 12 runs between that series. Like these are like football numbers, like scores.
And these are all 3-game series.
All 3-game series, total runs in the 3 games. And I'm like, you wonder why it's such a hard game right now for pitchers.
Yeah.
Right? Like that Auburn, Georgia series, 48 runs in the 3 games. Crazy, which Auburn ended up winning 2 of 3 from Georgia, which is a big deal for them because I know that they struggled early on in SEC play. And but KK McCurry had 2 walk-off home runs in the series, 3 total home runs, which is cool because when I had them playing Florida, she was struggling.
Yeah.
She was working this new process of hitting through the Malvos and struggling with that. And I think for her to like be that leader, because she led that team in home runs and ribbies last year. So she probably felt this immense pressure. And then I saw her hit a big home run in that Florida series. And then I think from there, so to hit 2 walk-off home runs in a weekend, like that's kind of living the dream. So that Auburn Georgia series, I think was super cool. The Florida Ole Miss series was a little more high scoring than I wanted it to be.
Yeah.
With Keegan Rothrock back in the circle, right? She'd been hurt. And she threw in that Auburn series that I got to call the 1 game. So it was good to have her back. But like when I'm going back and like looking, she gave up 10 earned runs in the 8 innings pitched, which for her is just not normal.
Really high, yeah.
But you also have to remember that you'd been hurt for how long? Like it takes a little bit to kind of really get back in the flow. You probably have this immense amount of pressure from the year before where you took your team to play Oklahoma to game 3 or game 2 of, the Women's College World Series. There's probably this pressure that this young lady feels. At the end of the day, I do feel like Florida's offense is money. It's going to come down to like, is the pitching going to be able to make it work when it counts? And they did last year, obviously with Rothrock on that run. But to me, that's going to be like, how much tunnel vision can you get Keegan Rothrock in? Because, Ava Brown, she's throwing great. Caitlin Oxley, the freshman, she's been able to get some really good experience with Rothrock down. So in my opinion, it comes down to like, how much can we lift up Rothrock and get her in a place to be at the highest of highs heading into SEC tournament?
Especially because she's like still building it back up too, having been out and stuff. And it's such a different experience when you're coming off the IL or whatever they call it, whatever you want to call it, like it's your mentality's not necessarily all there. Your physical, it's just different when you're not throwing as consistently as you are especially during conference when it's 3-game series and back-to-back games. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they pull that all together.
Different pressure. There's just a different pressure. Like there was pressure back in the day in our time of when, you had someone that usually pitched 2 out of 3 series or sometimes every single game, like, and now to have that with such a spotlight on you, right? Like so the NIL, the list goes on. It's hard for them. I feel for pitchers. Like I have empathy. But I'm also like, at the end of the day, if you're able to execute good pitches and big moments, like a lot of the things that I see are pitches that are just missed down the heart of the plate.
Yeah.
So it comes down to like that piece too. Like, can you execute big pitches in big moments under pressure against some of the best hitters in the game? And do you understand the softball IQ enough to be able to like tip your cap and mad respect and say like, I'm going to intentionally, unintentionally pitch around you to attack someone else?
Right.
I saw that in the Texas A&M LSU series, like doing that with Maya Perez with the role that she's on, right? She's leads this team in so many categories. She's one of the hottest hitters in the country. So there's opportunities where I'm not going to let the best player beat me. Like those are just little things to think about. The Arkansas, South Carolina, I actually have Arkansas next weekend, not this upcoming one. I have Arkansas at Texas A&M. And Brie Ellis, I mean, she's been incredible for them, leads the nation in home run guys. And I just have loved South Carolina and the run that they've kind of had too, with new coach. Charlotte, head coach from last year, is now the head coach there, and she's brought the Gamecocks in with this different type of swagger. Man, they can score, like, they're tough. I know Neely Lamb is 9-0 on the season, and Sam Gress has been throwing her ass off. Like, their pitchers have been able to come in and throw some big games for them. And then offensively, they're money. But on the flip side with Arkansas, you know, Robin Heron's throwing well. She got 2 complete game wins. But I think for me, it's like, can they get over the hump? Like, can they get over the hump? You think about a couple years ago, they hosted a super regional. That was Texas 2022 when Texas was unseeded. They came to the Washington regional, beat Washington. Then they went to Arkansas, beat Arkansas, and then ended up making it to the national championship against Oklahoma. I still think that they may be the only unseeded team ever to make it to a national championship. But you know, Arkansas to me always has so many of the key components, but like, what's the one thing to get them over the hump? How can you get them to Oklahoma City? And I think obviously you have players like Brie Ellis, and when you have someone like Heron throwing really well, those are key things, but you don't know what you don't know. You don't know what it's like to get there yet. So, and
the timing, it's coming down to a crunch now. What do we got? Like 3 weeks left, basically.
I know.
And it's you want everybody, I mean, you can tell, like, just the competition every weekend is getting so intense, and it's such an elevated game right now. So it's like, you want to get it all in and you want to keep performing really well, but you're also like trying to balance that. Okay, like, how are we going to put ourselves in the best positions? Like, we don't want to push ourselves too hard so that we're burnt out, because then there's postseason. It's just, this is like crunch time for them, aside from the fact that it's like tax week, you know, like, that's extra stress.
I don't remember doing taxes as an athlete, so I don't know if they even have to stress about that.
Hopefully not. I can't remember either. God, we're getting old. Oh.
Amen. But there is, and the hard part is, you can't take your foot off the gas right now.
Yeah.
You go through this sense of in-conference play where you're completely in the pit, and that shit is hard, and every weekend it is hard. But you can't rely on, oh, it's hard, like, let's just take a breather. No, shit, you got to go right through it, because it's so cutthroat right now that if you lose a game or you lose a series you shouldn't, it's going to hurt you.
Oklahoma.
Totally. And that's something that to me is what makes Tennessee stand out from this last weekend, going into McCombs Field and winning 2.
Yep.
Even though it was the weirdest shit ever. Like, the one thing I wanted to do on my birthday was go hang out with my girlfriend for dinner and then go to the Texas-Tennessee game, because I wanted to see Kavon and I wanted to see Carlin Pickens. And I was like, there's nothing going to be better than that matchup. These are 2 of, you know, the top probably 4 pitchers in the country. And Carlin Pickens throws 1 inning and comes out. And I look at Megan and I'm like, dude, I'm ready to go back to my hotel and like lay down. Not that I don't respect those 2 teams, but there's something about seeing 75, 76, 77 miles an hour in person, and I hadn't seen it. So she ended up coming out. We thought it was arm issues. Karen Weekly said that was the plan the whole way through. And clearly it was, because she threw, what are the numbers I had? She threw 15 innings and struck out 18 and got 2 wins against that offense. In my opinion, Texas has one of the toughest offense in the country. They led NCAA multiple categories.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big dog right there. And so to me, Tennessee, like, is another team that I put up there with Arkansas right now, being able to get over the hump.
Because they have been up and down. They haven't been super, super like just straight consistent. And so it's definitely getting into go time.
And we've talked about it, because you think about last year where they beat Bama game 1 at home in the Supers and then dropped 2. And that's when you had Kiki Malloy. Like, that's when you had Peyton Gottschall. That's like, and so to me, I think the biggest question mark for them, and Aaron Miller actually just said it on our ESPN call, it's like their offense is the question mark. You know what you're going to get with pitching, but what offense is going to show up for Tennessee. And that's always what it comes down to. Like, if you're steady Eddie with pitching and you know what you're going to get, if you don't have consistency with your offense, when that shit matters and there's pressure, it's not going to work. So moving forward, even though I think like their resume, it puts them in a position to obviously have a good RPI and maybe potentially be in that top 3.
Yeah.
I can't say that I put them at the 1 spot yet because Texas A&M is 1, but I don't know. I have a question mark with what's going to happen with that. But Texas OU is coming up in the future of that. And then obviously Oklahoma losing last night. Did you get to watch the game at all?
No, I kept getting clips like on Instagram and stuff, but I didn't get to watch the whole thing.
I mean, they go to extra innings. Audrey Vandegrift, the freshman, hits the walk-off. She's just been insane to watch. She's up there with Tori Edwards with LSU. I can't make the statement and say that Tori Edwards is the hottest freshman in the country. I put both of them very similar, Vandegrift and Tori Edwards, because both of them have stepped up in ways at which they don't see
situations. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And as a freshman, that's crazy.
But how incredible for Alabama to host Oklahoma and beat them 2 of 3, and they could have potentially swept them. They were winning in the last inning of that Friday game or Saturday game, because it was a Saturday, Sunday, Monday. But incredible. And I think that to me is always what stands out about Alabama. Like, they may not have all the
pieces,
numbers of the pitchers that they've had in the past or this or that, but I do think that they always find a way to, when it matters, collectively love on each other and enjoy just the dogfight, right? They never give up. They're so ruthless.
Yeah.
And that was big. They have the transfer, Caitlin Riley from Ole Miss, the pitcher.
Mm-hmm.
Watching her last night, I'm like sitting there folding laundry, waiting to go to Maddie's practice. And I'm just like in awe with not only like the fact that she continues to go 1 time through the lineup, 2 times, 3 times. She's faced Oklahoma a good amount of times and continuing to find ways to beat them. Hard drop down, like she's money, and got out of some really pressure situations. So I felt like there was a lot that Alabama team learned yesterday that is only going to make them more dangerous as they head into the postseason, right? So that stood out to me. And then kind of some upcoming games. I'm heading to actually Arizona this weekend to cover Texas Tech. And Courtney Lyle and I are going to have game 3 of the series, which could be a big one if you think about a potential rubber match.
But anytime you get to call Najee, you get excited.
Oh, I get excited. I reached out to the SID. I'm like, we're going to meet with the teams the day of. So we're going to like go to the hotel, meet with Texas Tech, meet with Caitlin Lowe. And I'm like, is there any way that like I can meet with Nyjah for like 10 or 15 minutes? Like, I just think there's something so special about being able to sit down with a player of that caliber and like, tell me what you've learned, like what makes you you. And since you've transferred, what do you feel like you've learned as a junior? Like, so then it gives a different intel to like what makes her great. So if my daughter were to be watching or your daughter were to be watching, like what could they pick up from someone that, is still learning and growing in this game too, right?
Yeah.
So that's a big series. It's a big series because I know people talk a lot about Arizona being a team that's going to host a regional, and people have put Texas Tech on the bubble simply because of potential RPI, maybe not being wicked high. I actually don't know. I could look what it is. I don't know what their RPI is at this current moment, but I mean, if Texas Tech didn't get a chance to host a regional, that means that they would be in driving distance of Texas under 400 miles, Oklahoma under 400 miles, and like,
it's one of those things where you're looking at the regional setup and you're like, okay, is this giving us the best possible outcome to be successful in the postseason if we're being put with Texas round 1? Like,
and the selection committee doesn't care. Like,
right. 100%.
They want teams to have to be able to drive.
Yep. They don't
Hence
want to apply
why,
if they don't have to. Yeah, exactly.
hence why UCF has pretty much gone to Florida State every single damn regional, or San Diego State
Or
is always at
Fullerton,
UCLA.
Fullerton
You
and
know?
UCLA. Yep, exactly. Exactly.
That's the stuff that I'd be thinking about if I was Texas Tech. This to me would be the series
Got to come away
that
with it.
I have
Mhm.
circled all year. If I'm Nyjah, bro, I need to step up. Like, this is why I went to Texas Tech, is because my team is going to lean on me heavily in this weekend.
And Arizona's a team she's familiar with.
And that's what makes it dangerous.
Exactly.
Like, I would rather play a team that hasn't seen me a whole lot.
100%. Yeah. Especially not
And-
6 times. Would have been 6 times.
Yeah.
'Cause of
So
both years.
this will be really interesting. I'm excited. I love getting the chance to see Nyjah. I think there's some players that need to step up for them. I'm going to get to see Sid Stewart for Arizona. She transferred from Washington, but for me with Texas Tech, and I'm going to ask Jerry Glasso about it, but like Elena Johnson and Victoria Valdez struggling. Like, those are players that, like, if you need Nyjah to step up, those are players that I need to see step up for this team. And they had a pretty slow March. Killer February. March numbers were significantly down. So that was something I was going to talk to him about. Like, how is the mojo going? How are we trying to get these players going, right? Because no matter what, this is such a humbling game. You're going to have streaks of where your money and you see the ball like a beach ball, and then you're going to have times where you're like, dude, what's going on? I can't figure it out. How do you help your players figure it out? And then to even think about like Nyjah, I know they said they wanted to, because she's been like battling some type of injury, because she wasn't hitting for the month of March. Hit in February was great, and she's finally back healthy. And I know Jerry Glasso had mentioned, like, I want Nyjah to get at least 30 at bats before the postseason start.
Yeah.
And they played Houston on this last weekend, swept Houston, had 2 home runs game 1. And I was like, boom. Like, I love it. She's a hitting pitcher. I love it for Jordy Ball at Nebraska. I think it just gives you this different, be able to take a breath. I can help myself out. I don't feel as much pressure. I just get to enjoy this part of the game at times when pitching feels like work, you know?
Yeah.
So
the winning is great, but it's like it's when you have to go through those really tough weekends, you know, like Sam Landry coming off of last night and having to like step back and like extra innings and a series they weren't expecting to lose, and you know, having to turn right around. I'm guessing they're playing. I didn't check before, but I'm guessing they're playing Friday, so you don't have as much recovery time either. And like, how do you reset and get yourself back in that position to where it is what it is? Okay, what mistakes did I make? How do I fix them? Let's work on them, and like, let's not let it happen again. It's so hard, I think, too. It's like, I'm thinking of like the kids, of course, because it's like Dominic will like strike out, and like he's in that position where he's 9, and it's the end of the world when he strikes out right now. And it's like having to walk him through that without, I don't want to baby him either, right? I want him to have the tools and to learn how to, like, it's almost like when they were babies, like getting him to self-soothe. Like,
yeah.
Right? Like you're teaching them like, okay, it's very emotional, and I'm glad that you care. Like, I would so much rather you be pissed off right now and upset than for you to just be like, oh, whatever, like it was just a strikeout. Like, there is a happy medium in there, and it's so hard to equip them with those skills because everything is so fast paced now. It's you know, they're not used to having to actually like sit and feel something. They're being pressured to just like move forward. And I think that was like the biggest thing. So like on Sunday, Penelope had a soccer game. They lost 6-1.
Ooh.
Soccer, it shouldn't be that high. And it was like 100 degrees outside. So she was like hot and sweaty and pissed. And like, they were older girls. They were like at 2011s, which is like 8th graders compared to her 6th grade. So there's just a lot of emotions, and it's like giving her the space to like come back down from that, but also like, this is not the end of the world. You have to focus on how are you putting your best foot forward, but also contributing to the team in a way that is positive. Like, there's holding people accountable, but then there's also like being uplifting. There's so many like double-edged swords, I feel like, when they're playing these sports, that you're trying to make them tough, but not like completely like not emotional at all. Like you want to have some emotion in it. Like it's supposed to be fun. And it's so stressful. I'm like, we're in the heat of spring and I'm like, gosh, this is a lot.
It is. It's the fine line between like, they do it almost for a living at such a younger age.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So they build up this pressure because number one, they see it a lot. You watch it on TV, you watch MLB, you watch soccer, like all things. So they aspire to want to be like that.
You're right.
And it starts like that was never my goal when I started out to play. And I don't know for you, but like I did truly love playing because I just felt like this different person could come out and I could be a competitor and I could be fearless and shit, I was good at it. And that was so fun for me. It was never about getting a college scholarship. It was never about coaches in the stands watching. And I didn't not like doing well. And there was definitely a time where I wish that I would have learned earlier how to deal with the failure piece.
Right.
I didn't fail a lot as a pitcher in the sport. And there was in college that period of time when I told you when some of those losses, dude, they like ate me alive. It was life or death. But I didn't know losing well. Right. That's okay. And I feel okay to say that. But I did have my struggles with hitting, and you go through the lumps and the bumps of trying to deal with that. And as I navigate this with Maddie, and once Audrey starts to get there, the one calming presence throughout all of it is like knowing you will fail no matter what. You're going to have days where you do well, but more importantly, you're going to have a lot more days where you do shitty and you don't step up.
Right.
So the one thing that we always rely on, what are you doing? What is the work behind the scenes? And at times you don't have all the time in the world because you're so busy. You have 4 kids. Like, how do you get in that extra time and that extra work? But I think if you've learned anything about me, that's the one thing that I felt like I needed to do to give me that competitive edge, to be okay with the good and the bad that comes with both of it. So when Maddie struggles, I reiterate to her, like, dude, you haven't asked me to go to the cage. And I know that we're busy, but like, ask me, let's go. Like, I'll take you. Let's go down. Now we live literally right by a school across the street with a track and a basketball court and a tennis court. Let's go throw. So I put the ball in her court a little bit more now. And it's just like, all right, let's go. Because when you know that you've put in the work, it allows you to be okay sometimes when you don't come up with the numbers that you need to. You got to keep swinging. You got to keep swinging. And that sounds cliche and dumb, but if I learned anything, that's what I learned. If that shit ate me up, then I felt like I couldn't perform the next day.
Yeah. And it's so hard with like their little minds and like scaling that down to something that's like palatable for them, to where they understand what we're talking about, but like we're not crushing their dreams either. Like we're not saying you're a failure. We're saying you're gonna fail. And that's a piece of life. Like, and it's not just failure. I mean, you could possibly add anything to that. You're gonna fail, you're gonna grieve, you're gonna love, you're gonna lose. Like there's so many different pieces of that like these things are going to happen. What is in your control and what is out of your control is what you need to be able to differentiate from, so that you can learn to process and work through that and understand what it's going to take to get you back out of it again. And I think, you know, as the college players like get ready to go, I mean, this is like the last final push before postseason. It's like you really have to dig deep and understand like what's going to keep it. Am I good with where I'm at? If I am, then how do I maintain this? If I need to make improvements, what do I need to do to get better? Like what is it that's going to answer that? And it sometimes that look in the mirror, they're not all going to like what they see.
Yeah.
But how do you change that? How do you adjust? How do you, you know, adapt? And it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. I feel like it's such a toss up right now, which is what we love about this game, right? Like it could be anybody at this point. Like there's so many like high performers.
I won't name any names, but someone had reached out to me the other day and was just asking me like what my routine recoveries were throughout the week, like when I did stuff. One, I could appreciate reaching out and asking. And number two, like, you don't understand how important that part is when you do struggle. And the weekend, like conference play now we're almost out of it, but it is so mentally hard all the time. What is your reset? What is your routine? What brings you back down? What calms you down? If you don't have that, you're constantly fight or flight. And if we're living that, then like every little thing that doesn't go your way constantly keeps you amped up and fired up. And it's like the one thing that you have to be able to control is yourself and where I'm at and what's my tempo, what's my mood, what is my body at right now. Like, and so it was just letting them know, like, hey, this, especially now more than ever, the opportunities of the hot tub, the cold tub, the massage, all the things that
gadgets. I know. We had an ice
utilize
pack
that.
and
Utilize that. Yeah. And I'm like, go for a run on Mondays. I said, when you get back, go run foul poles, put on your headphones, go like do something that's a little bit hard where you find yourself talking to yourself, because I think sometimes athletes aren't aware when they're at the lowest of lows, what they say to themselves. Like, what is running through your mind after you've lost a series you shouldn't lose? And maybe you were a part of 2 of those 3 losses.
Yeah.
What is the constant negative self-talk that's going on? Or is it like, dude, I've totally flipped the page because my routine has started and I'm over that shit.
Yeah.
I have to be able
On
to
to the next
the
one.
difference. But just even thinking about this weekend, like this is a big weekend for Oregon, UCLA. So Washington went to UCLA this last weekend, swept Washington. Washington was in some games, but UCLA's tough. And them coming off of the World Series last year, like they're a good team. UCLA, Oregon, squaring off in Eugene, like that one's going to be fun. 2 of them are on Big Ten Plus, and then the Sunday game is going to be on Big Ten Network. I don't know. It's exciting to think about like that series as well, because when you put a stamp on Big Ten and you think about some of the hardest teams.
Iowa State, all of them.
Yeah, like these 2, it's important to get 2 out of the 3 wins. And with like looking at Oregon's resume right now and like where they're at, like they're 38-4 on the year. And the way Lindsey Grind's been throwing, 1 loss on the season, like, I don't know, it just makes for like a super fun opportunity for the softball world. So I'm excited to see how that one like ends up too.
Well, and it's the Pac-12 facing off again in this.
I know, so weird. So the conference realignments are just so
bizarre, odd.
Yeah, just doesn't seem. It's still
beyond our pay grade.
Yeah, it seems like Pac-12 foe are still squaring off against each other.
Yeah, which is kind of nice because we still do like those matchups. Like, it's nostalgic of us to like the matchups for sure.
Yeah,
but well, I think it's going to be exciting. You're traveling this weekend and next weekend and the weekend after and all the weekends in the rest of the spring, basically.
Through
the World Series.
Yeah.
When I was looking at my calendar last night, it was 10 weekends straight of travel.
Yeah.
And
racking up those miles.
if I can fly Alaska, let's go. I haven't been upgraded to first class yet. It's been kind of pissed off about that. I mean, no middle. I'm like, dude, I'm flying a lot. Let's go. But there really is nothing like calling a game in person, talking to the coaches before the game, being down there. There is this adrenaline rush that I do get when I get the opportunity to call these games. Like I feel, and I know I say it a lot, but every opportunity I get, I feel very lucky to have this job, because it's not only is the sport getting bigger and so much more exposure, to be able to watch the game grow year to year and see just these athletes and how much bigger and how much stronger. Like I was down on the field and I'm like, whoa, these girls are big. Like I noticed that last weekend in Texas, Missouri. I'm like Reese Atwood and Tegan Cavan, like they're tall and big, and like Mia Scott, and I say big in the fiercest way of like, you can't tell on TV how strong these women are.
Like they're fucking beasts.
Yeah. I admire it.
You're right.
I admire it. So when I'm down there, I'm like, oh shit, you got like 5 inches on me. What's going on here?
Yeah.
Like these women are all beasts. So I don't know. That's another cool thing too, to just kind of see these women in person and get the opportunity. Like my husband is obsessed with Reese Atwood's swing. So is Maddie. So I
Yeah.
went down. I was like, hey, can I like get your autograph? Because my daughter is obsessed with you. And she said, sure. She signed a ball. And I was like, this is awesome. Like, I love that I become fans of all of these different athletes and you see how they evolve and stuff. And it's so cool. So I don't know. Hey, we're at a fun part where we're almost done conference play. We're close to conference tournaments. And then you're like, shit, we're on like a little roller coaster of a regional is super and hopefully be in that top 8 to get to OKC. And I feel like it's more open than it's ever been with potentially who can win.
Yeah.
That's what makes it exciting. Not that it hasn't been the last 4 years, but damn, Oklahoma was so good that like you almost knew with all their returners and the fact that they'd get someone in the portal every year that was so good at pitching that you're like, they're going to probably win again. There's probably a 95% chance that they're going to win. I don't know if that's the case this year. And that's what makes it such a cool thing for a lot of these teams, because anyone can really, if you get hot at the right time and you get on the right roll, shit, you could maybe win.
Yeah. That's why we're all there, right?
Totally.
Just that small chance.
I know. Tell me there's a chance.
Love the underdogs.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we'll be coming back at you either next week or the week after. Who knows?
Yeah.
Thanks for sticking along. Let us know if you have questions.